There we go.
Well, hello everybody, and welcome back to Let's Talk About It Stuff. I surely apologize if we were late. Yeah, we were late. You know what? Conspiracy. At first, I said no, this couldn't possibly be happening. But you know what? I believe it is. I think somebody hacking into my internet because every Wednesday at 7 o'clock it does this, and it happens only at 7 o'clock on Wednesday. So y'all, we got to be doing something right. But you know
Right.
what? The devil is a lie. Let's talk about stuff gonna continue to go on. Regardless, so I got my laptop working right now. I'm gonna have that bad boy on standby, ready.
Got
So
it. That's
yeah,
beautiful.
you see, I got new people on here. Yes, Dell is out doing Dell stuff, but we got
Okay.
our future house member of Texas, Dedrick DeBoer.
That's right. How are you? How are you? How is everyone? Let's see. I was trying to get myself a little bit better picture there. There we go. There we go. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
Good, good, good,
And
good.
how are you doing?
I'm actually doing really good. It's an interesting time. I was going to use the word fun. That would be inappropriate. I'll just leave it at interesting. It's an interesting time. I'm looking forward to having a pretty engaging conversation this evening. Looking forward to it.
Okay, awesome. And we have in our present Miss Lisa Lowe. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm good. Not the interesting times we asked for, but here we are.
I know. I know. I don't, you know what? I think we're all going through this emotional roller coaster and in the midst of Twilight Zone. And what was that show back in the day with the man that be in the silhouette? What was that, Twilight Zone?
Yeah, it's Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
That's how
Yeah,
I
Twilight.
feel like we're in this Twilight Zone. And I keep saying, somebody wake me up because I can't make none of this stuff up.
Right, right,
No,
right.
every day. Every day. Something
Yeah,
more bizarre than
on
yesterday.
one hand, on one hand, we it's a Twilight Zone moment. But on the other hand, this was, this is the we're finally just seeing a culmination of years of work, right? There's been a lot of discussion about Project 2025, but my point is there was a project, in 1980, right? And there was movements to, and have been movements to tear down the Voting Rights Act since it passed. So there has been a 40, 50 year effort, and I think what we're seeing is marginal gains, marginal gains over time. And we're finally seeing the culmination of some of those marginal gains. So I say that to say that um, it is that we're seeing a lot, but if we take a step back, we can see that this has been quote unquote people have been working toward this for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
Yes. Lisa, how do you feel about the Voting Act being reversed? It's like,
It's
we're going back into the
devastating.
1900s.
Yeah, I mean, I'm 60 and I cannot believe we're where we're at right now. My parents, and especially my grandparents, I mean, they paid a poll tax to vote. Especially being Latinos here in Texas, I just can't believe we're going backwards and that I had more rights than my children did. And it's scary, it's frightening. In all the years I've been voting, it never crossed my mind, after the 60s and 70s that we would be going backwards in time. You just keep thinking that we've accomplished so much and we've accomplished so little. We've been seeing this happen, as Dietrich was just saying, um, way back when. This has been a building thing for quite some time now. Everybody, I know there's a lot of people who think this is just happening with Trump, but he's kind of the fool that they now have in office. He's got a bunch of people around him that are like, okay, we can get done what we need to get done now, and I think their misstep is that he's the one they have in office, because he keeps opening his mouth and saying all the wrong things, and I think that's to the alt-right Republicans' detriment, because everything he's saying, we see the momentum building up with voters everywhere. Everybody is really, really mad, and they are showing up en masse at the ballot box. And I don't think the Republicans really thought, getting this man in office, they didn't think how badly that was going to be for them. We're even seeing that here in Texas with special election blowouts by our Democratic candidates. We're seeing that in our primaries with Democratic voters showing up in large margins. We're seeing
Are we
that
there?
everywhere. And we're going to see that now in Louisiana. We're seeing protests everywhere, not just even in this country, but worldwide. We're seeing this in elections worldwide. Nobody wants this. And we're going to do what we need to do. We saw what John Lewis did. That man was beaten on Bloody Sunday, and a few days later, he was right back up, to get out there and march. And we're going to have to do the same thing. We're just going to have to do the same thing and get right back up and get out there and protest all of this stuff that they're doing to us. They're not going to take my daughters and my sons' rights away. They're just not going to do that. So I'm going to do what I need to do to protect my family, to protect my community, to protect my culture. And I'm not alone in this. Am I breaking up?
Okay. You know what? I have so much fun. Hold on, let me turn this off.
Dietrich, were you able to hear me?
Yeah, yeah. Now we can. I can hear you now. I can hear you. I can hear you now.
Okay, I'm sorry. I don't know what happened there.
No,
Uh,
you were fine. I think Lisa, you point out some very good points on what on like what next. What do we do now? I think it's important to remember, and I'm speaking definitely, you know, from the perspective of African American people. We've been here before. We've been here before. There was a Reconstruction. And during that Reconstruction, and given the 15th Amendment, meaning the right to vote, whereas, men had the right to vote, but that's a side discussion. And then it was taken away primarily in the South through Jim Crow laws. And so, although it was never said that you couldn't vote, it was just made very difficult, right? Poll tax, like you said, literacy test, all the way down to just straight out violence, right? You know, I remember. I won't get too deep into the details, but I remember this was in the late '80s, and a sheriff, who was a black man, ran for sheriff in this town in Mississippi. And I'm telling you this firsthand, by the way. And he won. It was close, but keep in mind, Mississippi, predominantly black town. Um, and they got out and voted for this man. He was well known, he well liked, right? Everybody liked him across the board. But the night of the election, when they were certifying the election, people showed up with shotguns. Shotguns. So, and they said, it basically was a disruption. sheriff comes and breaks it up, everything, but they weren't able to certify it. So they had to do it wasn't a real, it was like a recount. They delayed it like 30 days, right? Now think about this. I guess what I'm saying is that what was made legal, okay, was still people were willing to take to the streets to stop it from happening. This black sheriff. So it took 30 days, and that brought that brought national attention to it, quite honestly. And when that brought national attention to it, then of course a lot of people didn't show up with shotguns and what have you. But that first night of the election, his family was afraid to the degree that it made national news. That's how I knew about it. And I say all that to say that this recent Calais versus Louisiana decision was just that. It was a legal decision, but there are some people who have decided in their minds, regardless of what the law says, that they're going to make it more difficult for you. There are people who've decided, regardless of whether there is a Voting Rights Act or not, they're going to stand in your way. Now, the reason I bring that up is now that makes your work clear, because regardless of whether there is a Voting Rights Act or not, there are actions that you and I need to take. And more importantly, we did it before, and hence we can do it again. It just makes it more difficult. But with that said, difficult is it doesn't mean impossible. It just simply means that we got to do it. So I say all that to say that's why I called it interesting. Interesting. But we've been here before. There's a roadmap. There's what do you call it? A playbook or whatever. We just have to simply run it again. And this is the last thing I'm going to say on this one. You know, between the last time an African American was in the Senate, I think it was 1901, after Reconstruction. You're right, and then all the Jim Crow laws went into place. It was about 75 years until another one. Okay, 75 years. Now I don't know about you. That would make me about 120 some odd, 30 some odd years old. I'm not waiting that long. And so that's how I'm looking at it. That I'm not waiting that long when I already know what to do. The play has already been laid out, right? So yes, this is a sticky situation, right? But my point is they've been planning to create the sticky situation for the last 40, 50 years. When people were talking about Project 2025, this is the sticky situation. I guess is what I'm saying is people always talk about F around and find out. We're just finding out, guys. We're just finding out. And there's nothing nice about finding out. The issue is once you find out, what do you do about it? And that's where we at right now.
That's it. And they're being so transparent about it. Look what they're doing to Louise Lucas today.
Oh,
Yeah, that's true.
yeah. I mean, if you think about it, here is what the Trump presidency does. It gives space and room for the unacceptable to be perceived or normalized as acceptable, right? My point is, I'm not saying that anything that anybody intended that they're doing today, I'm not saying they didn't want to do it 10 years ago. They did.
Oh, yeah.
The difference is that you got to have blocking. You got to have, somebody has to make a way for it, for whatever it is, right? But once it's made acceptable, then all manner of behavior is going to come out. And that's what we're seeing. What the Trump administration does is it normalizes unacceptable behavior. It normalizes unacceptable behavior to the degree that we listen to things on the news now that we couldn't imagine, even thought possible. You know what I mean? I remember when we were arguing about Barack Obama in a tan suit. That was the biggest deal. You know what I mean? That was the issue. And now, I mean, we're way beyond that. So he's normalized the unacceptable, and that is why you're now seeing the unacceptable behavior out in the open, because now it's considered normal.
And there is nothing normal about it. I am not running for office, so I don't have to be careful with my language. I don't call them an administration. I call them a regime. Everything, we don't have a rule of law. we have the DOJ, sorry, going after our Democratic leaders for revenge. You know, uh, Louise Lucas led the fight for redistricting in Virginia, and they are the FBI, which used to stand for something, are raiding her offices today. It is so blatantly obvious what they're doing, and they're saying they're going after her for, I don't know, supposed bribery. It's all projection. Everything that they accuse Democratic officials of, it's exactly what they are doing. And with everything else they're doing, there's no reason behind it. There's no due process anymore. There's no reasoning. There's nothing. They just do it. And then they have their companion, Fox News, already there filming it. They're ready to film it when nobody else knows what's going on. It's just a blatant corruption. And the I think it's so blatantly obvious that Americans are rising up to meet the moment. And I think we're going to see that this year at the ballot box.
Well, I think that's going to be obvious. I mean, it's going to be necessary. You know, my dad used to say, you know, when things were too far, he's like, you know, he used to say, "You're overcooking my grits," is what he would say. You know, he was like, you know, I can accept a lot, but you can't overcook my grits. And basically, right now, they're overcooking the grits.
Mm-hmm.
But also, I look at it like this too: that this extremist, religious extremist right wing movement is at wit's end and desperate. If I can use a football analogy, it's the at the end of the game they're losing on the scoreboard, but they have the ball, and so they pull out every play that they can, and they throw the ball that's in the air, just hoping that something works out for them. If we look at the boots on the ground, if we look at the actual numbers, not a lot is working out for them. On at least on the ground, we look at the local elections. We're looking at the Democratic voter turnout. Boots on the ground, they're losing. However, like you said, they are giving the appearance that they're winning because they're getting big yardage. You know, if I could use that football analogy. But that doesn't mean that they are winning. I guess what I'm saying, this doesn't change the fundamentals and the facts. The fundamentals and the facts is that America does well when everyone in this multiracial democracy is doing well. That's what happens when people get out and vote. We choose people of our own, that represent us. And yes, the laws may make it more difficult, but it doesn't make it impossible because
That's
we've
right.
been here before.
That's absolutely right.
That is so true. So, what can we do? How can we change the play? Because it's getting serious to the point where if we look over it back at my home state, Louisiana, and did your home state, Calvin Duncan just got his position, which I can't even believe that I can't, but I cannot believe it's 2026 that they were going to take this man's position because let's be real, because he was black.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna remove
And
the.
he was a Democrat on top of that. So he got two strikes against him. He's black and he's a black man that they wrongfully put in jail. And while he was in jail, he didn't do what other inmates did. He went and got an education
Mhm.
and became what they fear an educated black man in Louisiana that is actually running for criminal court. Why is he running for criminal court? Because he does not want what happened to him happen to someone else, regardless of what their nationalities are. But we know in Louisiana, it is always the black man that goes to Angola. It's fact. It's just fact. So we gotta make a change. I'm putting Louisiana people on notice. Y'all know it's time to go vote. Get your butt up, go vote. Get up in the morning time. If you can go to Starbucks in the morning time, you can go vote. Get your tail out there and go vote. They got signatures being shuffled throughout the state about recalling the governor and the president, the mayor of New Orleans, I believe, or something, whatever he is. They're trying to get them out. Y'all, sign those petitions. Make sure when you get ready to sign the petition, make sure you're a registered voter because they're going to throw it out. They need 600,000 signatures to recall these people. They need to be gone. And not only do they need to be gone, it's time to clean the swamp. Louisiana, you know we got a lot of swamp. It's time to clean it. And that even means on the Democrat side too, those that like to put money in it, because you know they're gonna use that. Those who like to put money in their refrigerator, we need to clean the swamp. We need to clean it. We need to make Louisiana better because right now all eyes are on Louisiana and what they're doing because whatever passed through Louisiana, so goes the United States. That's the way how they want to run this. But we got to be smart about what we do. We got to make sure we plan to execute. So whatever they do towards us, the people, we need to do that 10 times fold. So if they're coming up there trying to take our rights away from us, we need to take their rights away from them. Maybe we should charge them to go to the polling. You know, you mentioned, Dietrich, about the polling tax, which is true. Maybe we need to charge them since they want to go back. Let's go all the way back. Let's flip it on them. You want to take our rights away? Okay, we're going to charge you to go vote. Now, how about that?
You mentioned a couple of things. First of all, Mr. Duncan, Calvin Duncan, who was duly elected by the people in Orleans Parish, actually is the American dream. If you think about it, so they should be setting aside Calvin Duncan Day in the state of Louisiana if they
I'm
wanted to
for
do
that.
the right thing. And the reason is because number one, he was incarcerated wrongfully, but let's set that aside. He was incarcerated, right? He was in the place. He served that time. Number one, he corrected himself, if you want to use that term, right? He used that time and came out and used what he learned for the benefit and got elected, right? So he's the ultimate proof of the American dream that despite the fact of what happened to me 20 years ago or whatever years ago, I can recover. That's the American dream. They need to be singing his praises because in essence, what he's doing is proving that this, for the most part, broken system actually sometimes kind of sort of works. And he still is having to deal with this. That's number one. Number two, what I was going to say about the oh man, I kind of lost my train of thought here with Louisiana, right? This, when things go to the Supreme Court, let's think about what's really happening. The reason we take them to the Supreme Court is so that we can apply that everywhere. Okay, that's the whole goal. The whole goal of getting it to the Supreme Court is so that it can become what we call the law of the land. And so there was going to be a push every step of the way to get this Calais versus Louisiana thing up to the Supreme Court so that it would be in the hands of John Roberts, for the most part, right? Who has been fighting this since 1982, right? Since 1982. He has been an opponent of it, argued against it then, and pretty much has carried the water against it every step of the way. So this is actually not surprising. The Supreme Court didn't do, I'm sorry, the Supreme Court didn't do anything that wasn't in alignment with what they've been doing. With that said, what do? Number one, it's extremely important that we get out and vote in November because this is the opportunity, and it might be one of the last opportunities to get as many what I'll call Democratic seats in state legislatures. Because in most states, outside of those that are redistricted through some type of commission, But for example, I'll use the state of Texas. The state legislature draws those maps, or at least responsible for the drawing of our congressional maps, and more importantly, the drawing of all maps. Okay, now just put this in perspective. We're pretty confident that we're going to see a movement in the House toward a Democratic majority. We don't know about the Senate right now, but for the most part, what we're looking at is hopefully having people in place so that when the next census comes up in 2030 and we have to redraw the maps again, we made the changes that we need to make. Meaning that we need Supreme Court reform, for example. We need to push through the John Lewis Voting Rights Act, okay, to reestablish a voting rights act that actually that is more defensible, right? So there's things we can do, but the time is now. I guess that's my point. The time is now, while we still have some level of control, and ability to exercise some control, and that'll happen in November. So balls in our court, quite honestly.
The legal senses. How how ridiculous is that? We have a census, and yet they keep interrupting that with these illegal gerrymandering. I mean, we just went through this a few years ago, and they did it again. We
That's
were
right.
still in lawsuits with the Texas Supreme Court for the last gerrymandering. The Texas Democrats just broke quorum in 2020, and they just had to do it again.
That's right.
We were still involved in lawsuits for the last one that they did illegally, and now we're in another one. They don't care about the census, and who knows how many times they're going to try to do this again if people don't get out and vote. And that is my biggest ask of people. And there's so many of us, not just me. There's so many activists and advocates nationwide in every state for every community, whether it's minority, military, disability, for everyone. We are pushing people to get out the vote in every state. It is vital this year. We've got to win the midterms, we've got to win seats. And, in Texas, we have several Supreme Court seats up for play, and we've got several uh, incredible candidates now. And for every state, if you have Supreme Court justices up, we've got to get out the vote for them, because we cannot allow this to keep happening where states keep redistricting illegally to try to disenfranchise voters over and over and over again, where this keeps happening. It is ridiculous where we have a small cabal of white Christian nationalists trying to overpower the will of the majority of the people. They do not represent us. They just do not. We are losing our jobs, our health care, our education, our livelihoods because of a very small group of people. And this cannot be allowed to stand. And I think people finally have just had enough, because it is just so corrupt and so in our faces now. It's just in our faces now. And canceling an election in Louisiana, that is just beyond the pale. When it's already happening, while early voting is taking place, raiding the offices of our duly elected officials who are just doing their jobs is beyond the pale. All of it. While the man sitting in the Oval Office has conducted an illegal war. It always seems to be with these Republican presidents that take us into wars of convenience, putting our American women and male soldiers' lives on the line, no regard for their lives, for what? Oil, power, a deal. The Strait of Hormuz was free and open before all of this happened. And now, you know, it's a week away, 2 weeks away. We're going to wipe out a civilization. What the hell are we doing? We cannot allow this to keep going on. So, yeah, getting out the vote is my priority as an activist. Um, Saving our health care is a top priority. My son just lost his Medicaid. Sorry, he just lost his Medicaid. He had his 42nd surgery last November.
Wow.
And I'm not even going to get into all that because I'll lose it again. But there are, we are not alone. There are millions of Americans that are facing this, whether it's with Medicaid or ACA, all of this with this big, ugly bill that's just giving millions and trillions to more bombs, military spending, while completely, completely destroying American lives. Hundreds of thousands of Americans are being laid off from their jobs to build the military, to build AI, to decimate our communities with data centers, with just all of this stuff that nobody asked for. And we need to get out to vote. We need to protect our communities. We need to protect our children, our grandchildren. Uh, yeah, this just cannot stand. So, and I think right now, people like to complain that the Democrats aren't doing anything. For one thing, we are not in power, and a lot of people cannot see what's going on behind the scenes.
Mhm.
Democrats are doing things. After Texas did our illegal redistricting and everything, our Texas Democrats left the state to get the ball rolling on people, on other states to hopefully ask their voters and their constituents to redistrict for fair representation in this country. It worked. It worked. And I give such credit to our Texas Democrats for doing that. And then California and Virginia, bless them, because it worked. We didn't have a choice in Texas. We were not given a voice. They just did it. But California voters and Virginia voters, they let their constituents decide, and they put it to a vote. And hopefully we're going to get seats out of all of that to make it a more even playing field. And of course, Ron DeSantis is going to do what Ron DeSantis is going to do. They're doing this thing now in Louisiana to counter Virginia and California. We just need to keep at it. But, Democrats are doing the work. May
So
not,
Lisa,
but they are.
Lisa, let me ask you and Deidre this question here, because right now you're absolutely. I agree with everything both of you are saying. We have young people that are between the ages of 18 and 42 that come December, they're going to be automatically enlisted to go be drafted, no matter what, right? What can you say, especially Dedrick? You running for House 65 in against Mitch Little. What can you say? What can you say to the young people
to get them to activate because we need them. We need them to get out to go vote. We want to protect them, but what can you say to get them on board to understand what is going on? And the reason I bring this up, I just watched this clip of this young man. I wish I would have had pulled it up, where he is being he has $177 on his paycheck because he's having to pay child support for 6 kids and he only has five. So one of them, I guess, is back pay or what have you. And he thought that the current administration said he was going to get rid of child support. But I guess the young man didn't understand. That's a state. The state is charging you for child support because the state is the one that's helping take care of your child too. So, what do you have to say to our young people to wake them up and get them to the polls, to the ballot?
Well, for starters, I mean, I think when we're aware that we're in a fight, we fight. But if you're not aware that you're in a fight, right? You just notice that there's some you have some pains in your head, or it doesn't feel good on this side of your jaw, right? If you're not aware that somebody's causing that pain, you won't do much about it. I hear people talk all about the time. They say, well, I really don't do politics, and I quickly reply back, man, how'd you pull that off? I mean, so you don't pay any taxes, no property taxes, no sales tax. When you go to the store and something says it costs 92 cents, you pay 92 cents. You don't pay the dollar and four like me. You don't. When you get gas, if it says whatever it is, you pay that exactly. They say no, so you pay the taxes. I guess what I'm saying is there used to be a song that said, I got five on it, meaning people put in on it, and when anything you put in on, you should have some say so in, right? You should have some say so. And so, by definition, you are already in politics. The only question is, are you going to have an active say so in the politics? Or are you just going to be a recipient of whatever people give you, decide you should have, and what have you? My point is that since you're going to, number one, if you're 18, 10 years from now, you're still going to be paying into this, and everything that's happening today, you're going to be hopefully the beneficiary of, right? But you're going to be dealing with the consequences, right? So, I wrap it up like this. I tell people, I said, you do not have to participate in any election. That's completely up to you. But you don't have a choice about whether you participate in the consequences of that election.
Mhm.
That election has consequences. Somebody's hired to make decisions about everything from who hires the police chief and the sheriff in your county, i.e., you vote for them. I'm using the word hire, but vote. To all the way to whether if your son or daughter joins the military, whether they're going to spend that time in the U.S. or spend that time overseas or spend that time on a battlefield. Somebody's going to be making those decisions with your money. Not their money, your money. And so because of that, it's imperative that you, if you're going to put the money there, you also have a responsibility to put the guidance with the money. You have a responsibility to do that. That's number one. Number two, we have to keep in mind, and now let me take a step back, and people ask, what are the Democrats doing? Right now, Democrats are finding a way to get in the way.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing. They're finding a way to get in the way. But keep in mind, in any democratic society, the whole point of this is to those who have the most votes have the most control. And right now, for example, in the state of Texas, the Republicans control the executive branch. They control the Senate. They control the House. They control the Attorney General's office. They control the Lieutenant Governor's office. And so when you have one party, right, or one group, because I won't even say it's a party at this point, one group, right, controlling everything, it's kind of very, very difficult to fight against that. And so now what people like myself have to do is we just have to get in the way or slow them down. Now, with that said, what we should be doing, what you should be doing is not only should you be making a voting plan, You should be ensuring that the people around you vote too. See, my point is, it's no good for me to go vote and the people next to me don't. That's
Mhm.
irresponsible. That's irresponsible. If I remember back when with COVID, when you went and got tested, and if you got tested and you were found to be to have the positive, then you needed to isolate yourself. You needed to do something to protect the people around you. That's what you did. You said, I'm going to take care of me and make sure I get well, but I'm going to make sure nobody else pays a consequence for me being sick. And what I'm saying is not only do you have to vote, you have to make sure that the people around you also vote. That's just as much your responsibility as it is for you to go vote. So you voting and say, I did what I was supposed to do, but you didn't make sure that your friends and your family did, that's unacceptable now. That is really unacceptable. If people live in your house and you haven't made sure, did you go vote? Did you take care of that? Whatever, and they don't know. That's an unacceptable response. Like I said, if they had COVID and they just came in and said, well, well, you're not going to quarantine, no, no, that you wouldn't allow that. So same thing. Don't allow this behavior over here. The behavior of carrying it and thinking about just yourself. You can't do that at the point in time. And quite honestly, last thing I'll say, when they draw up maps, they count on a suppressed voting population.
Right.
They count on it. I'll specifically talk about African Americans, but if you look at since the Voting Rights Act of 1965, there's been a steady increase in voter turnout percentage-wise, African Americans relative to non-African Americans. Okay, however, there was 1 year where the voter turnout for African Americans was higher percentage than white Americans. 1 year. Guess what year that was? 2008. Guess what happened then? We elected Barack Obama. 2007, we elected Barack Obama. You see what I'm saying here? My point is, when these people got out and voted, they made history. They made history. And it would have been impossible to make history without them. What I'm saying now is it's going to require that same level of effort. And if you notice, that is when the efforts started happening to basically start to suppress that vote as much as possible. And it has been going down and down and down and down. So we're going to have to overwhelm the ballot box. That's what we have to do. Overwhelm, not vote, overwhelm the ballot box. Voting is not enough. Overwhelm the ballot box. If you got a van, then you should go to vote, and every seat in your van should be full. Overwhelm the ballot box is the answer.
And I think
Hey,
that's what's happening. I think that's especially like in Texas. They did the demimander thinking that they would redistrict in such a way that, like, I was redistricted. I was in District 28. I'm now in 35, which is heavily, Hispanic packed. That's what they did with a lot of the districts, thinking because of the previous election, Latinos had moved toward the right. And there's a reason for that. You know, we are historically ignored prior to an election. We just are. And everybody from both sides of the aisle come and try to get our vote right before the election hits. So during the last election, um, Hispanics thought, okay, we'll try something new. This time they redistricted thinking, oh, we've got the Latino vote in the bag. Um, and then they did the redistricting and then started hunting us down. So that wasn't going to work out. So we started having special elections at the beginning of this year, and Latinos turned out overwhelmingly for the Democratic candidates. And, like, for instance, Taylor Remmett in, I believe, Tarrant County won by a huge margin. And breakdown statistics showed that Republicans voted for him as well. Nobody likes the optics of ICE coming down and just, mass deporting people and arresting not just, undocumented immigrants, but American citizens as well. That is also happening with smaller elections in Texas. Nicole Thompson became, for the first time ever, the Leander, Texas mayor. Leander's never had, I used to live there. Leander's never had a Democratic mayor. Small pockets throughout Texas are flipping from red to blue. In the primaries, we had all kinds of Democratic voter turnout. Latinos turned out in huge numbers in the primaries. And this is just going to keep happening. They misjudged the the dummy manner that they did. And I think Latinos nationwide are going to keep showing up. And I also think that Republicans are going to vote, and this is including Republican Latinos, are going to vote Democratic. I was just having this talk with our friend Tammy. There are MAGA Republicans that are business owners throughout South Texas and East Texas. They own construction companies, they're builders, they own large ranches. They have lost all their migrant workers. All of their projects are on hold. They are losing millions of dollars weekly, monthly. Apartment complex, shopping centers, all of that stuff is on hold. They can no longer move forward. They have reached out to the Trump administration. They're getting no help, no feedback, nothing. They've had to sell off farming equipment, livestock, all of that. They are really upset, and they are now turning to Democratic lawmakers for help. All of this is, and that's going to happen in Florida, where projects are already have been on hold for a really long time as well. So yeah, I mean, Dietrich is exactly right. We've got to get out the vote. We've got to reach across the aisle. We've got to invite people in. This is no longer a time for, FAFO to previous Republican voters. We need to make sure that we let everyone know about our candidates. There are too many voters right now that are upset with both parties. This is a time to push our candidates. Let them know what our candidates have to offer. It's very important right now. I think more than ever, get our candidates out there. Let them know what you offer for the future. Don't just bash Trump, don't just bash the Republican Party. Tell them, what do you have to offer for them, for their businesses, for their future, for their healthcare. Get that out so they have a soft place to land. They know why they're going to vote, why they're bringing their family and friends to vote. I think that's just so vitally important right now. And I think that's what's driving the numbers right now to get out and vote. That's what's driving so many people to show up at No King's protests. Yeah. And I think we have that momentum right now.
Well, thank you both for that. Y'all are amazing, even though I'm messing with the technical issues going on back here. But I appreciate y'all just kept it flowing. I like it, love it. So I am going to go ahead and do a couple of the comments that was in here. Um, one of the comments, hold on, let me bring it up. We had a lot of blacks that would vote for Republicans in 2024, only to be made fools of by this administration. We did, and the young man that I was talking about, he did go vote for Trump because of what he said. But here's the thing, though. He's not the only one who voted for Trump because of what Trump lied and said that he was going to do. And I really think right now our farmers are way past pissed off. They are
Yeah.
way past pissed off because the diesel that they're using is so expensive to the small farmers. They're not going to be able to afford to buy the diesel. Can you believe this? I passed by the gas station today, and I probably shouldn't pass by because it might jump up to $5 by tonight. But it was $4.14 up here in North Fort Worth. $4.14. I can't make this stuff up. I don't even know that we were this bad off. And guess what? This is only a little bit of the icing. This ain't even the whole icing of the cake. It's gonna get bad. So my question is to everyone: when you gonna wake up? How many times are you gonna sit there and allow this administration to continue to lie to you, to continue to take things away from you? We got bad roads, federal. We got county roads, bad. When are you gonna go ahead and make the change? Texas, baby, Texas. Texas, we have been ran for over 30 years with the same like minded people that are coming up with devious things, how to hurt people. And yes, they want to hurt black people, but guess what? When you come after a black person, you hurt everybody. Because what hurts us hurts them too. What hurts me hurts you too, Lisa. It hurts everybody. So we got to wake up. We got to get to those polls. We got to make sure you're registered. Are sitting up here trying to take people off the voting list there. He already done sent out voting registrations to the White House, so they already know who you are. But if you have not changed your address and you have moved, go change it so you won't be sponged and say, "Oh, you can't go vote."
Mhm.
Go fix your stuff now before November. Now, don't forget, this is May, and we still got a lot of local races that's going on. We have a lot of mayor race, like up in Denton, we have a runoff going on. We have, what is it, a commissioner race, which I ain't worried about that one. I'm up here in precinct 4.
Now we have
And
I'm
we have
running
we
for that one.
have
we have
runoffs on May 26th.
yeah, we have
Yeah,
A
we have
lot of
runoffs.
races.
and what is the Denton mayor races in June, I believe. June, what, 1st or 4th or something like that?
I have to look at the date. Yeah, it's right after those, like a week or two after the May 26th runoffs, primary runoffs.
Yes. So everybody, if you live in this great state, we have a great state.
Yeah.
Y'all, we got to do the right thing, as Deidre loves to say. Deidre, I've been saying that so much, and I'm gonna have to put your name on it.
Hey, that's all right.
Do the right thing, y'all. Do you want to continue on struggling? We got people that are working 40 hours a week, only making what, 17.50 an hour, if that, and they cannot afford these rising prices of gas. I heard people jokingly saying, "Well, I'm just gonna go get me a motorbike." Well, guess what, baby girl? That motorbike, you got to put oil in it. You
Yeah.
got to change the oil. You got to juice it up. You got to have electric. Your electric bill, which Lord, please, co-star, don't make my electric bill go up any higher than what it is. We turn everything off, but even your electric's getting ready to go up 40%. We're not going to be able to afford the stuff. So, y'all, it's important that we get out, go get our people. You said it right, Deidre. Get the people around you that you associate with, that you friends with. Go call Aunt Baby or go Annie Mae and tell her, listen, get your kids and your cousin's kids, and I'm gonna get my kids and my cousins' kids and my sisters and my brothers, and we're gonna go vote. Who need a ride? We gotta fix this because I know here in our county, in Denton County that I'm in, we have issues with homeless. They're bringing in data centers that are going to be drying up our water wells. You know, We got a huge issue with homeless issues up here. And then on top of everything, they have the nerve enough to be messing with the transportation. Now, how do you expect people to get to work or get to the hospital, wherever they need to go to, and they don't have a way to get there? So you know what that means. That means people are going to lose their job even more than what they already are doing. So this is a time, I don't care. Listen to me, folks. I don't care if you're a Democrat, independent, Republican. I don't know what to vote for. Get your ass out there and go vote come this November the 3rd. I'm telling you, go vote. I'm sorry, pastors, if y'all listening to me and I said a bad word, but you know what? Sometimes you got to turn the collar around and tell the people the truth the only way that they going to listen. Because you don't preach to them. We don't said it nicely. We don't said it a little raw. This is the only way some people gonna understand. You got to take your butt, get up, go down there to that polling center, and please go vote early so you know where your precinct is at. Because they are trying so desperately to shut it down. We're not going to shut it down. We're going to rise that bad boy up and get out there and go vote and show them who we are. We are United States citizens. We're a Texan. And what we're going to do in Texas, we're going to show up big.
Woo!
Right.
I can't make this stuff up. We're going to show out.
Yeah. I'll go
Yes,
so
we
far as to
are.
say that we shouldn't even wait till November. We have to start now, right now. You see,
Hmm.
the reason that that a person running for office can tell you something, and you quote unquote believe it, it means that you haven't done your research. It means you haven't done your work, right? Now, I'm not saying you have to have a degree in political science, but you do know right from wrong. You've been lied to before. You know what that feels like. Maybe not what it sounds like, but you definitely know what it feels like. And so you're really abdicating your responsibility, right? Not only to yourself, but to your children and your children's children. Because, um, um, if this is not fixed now, it's gonna get harder to fix. Let me put it like that. It's gonna get much, 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 much harder to fix. And it should not have gotten this far already. But we're here now. It is what it is. But there's no escaping this. There's no you can get around this. Okay, you can't bow out of this. You in it. The only question is what are you going to do? I'll explain to you like this. Think about a sport. There's a football game, right? There's players on the field. There's people. There's players on the sideline, and there's people in the stands. But everybody's in the arena. And if it's raining, it's gonna rain on everybody. The players on the field gonna get wet. The players on the sideline gonna get wet. And guess what? Even the people that say they ain't even in the game gonna get wet too. Okay? So since you're gonna be here, right? You need to bring an umbrella. Since you're gonna be here. Now I can hear you now. Well, I'm leaving the country. Well, guess what? The Strait of Hormuz provides oil and is affecting economies all over the world. So where you gonna go?
You ain't gonna be able to take a flight.
Yeah,
Spirit just
there's
lost
nowhere you
theirs.
can go. So my point is, stand where you are and fight where you are. You don't have to go anywhere. Matter of fact, they brought it to you. And if you're in the state of Texas, that has pretty much been run by Republicans for the last 27, 30 years,
30 years.
and you're struggling about what you think the Democrats might do, just think about the rationale of that question. That doesn't even make logical sense. I know you can hear me. I may have stopped, but my point is this: really, it's a real simple thing, right? It's really simple. Either we're gonna make decisions to do something about this, right, or suffer in this for generations. Here's what I'm saying. My point is, let's be careful. I said, either you are going to make a decision to do something about this, or you're going to sentence your grandchildren to live in this. That's what it is. It's really, really simple. It's not about, oh, the Democrats better than the Republicans. It's about what's acceptable versus unacceptable. It's about what's right versus wrong. Like I said, you don't need a degree in political science for this. Good old fashioned common sense. Are you going to do what you need to do today? Or are you going to punish your children tomorrow and their children? That's the question. I think that makes the answer pretty easy.
I agree with you.
The only thing I want to add is um, for the last election, over 9.5 million registered Texans did not vote. So maybe hearing the number out loud will motivate voters, non-voters, to please vote. It's in your best interest to please vote. There's more than enough time during early voting. If you need a ride, there are many organizations that can help. Also, I know for my own son, I'm a disability activist on his behalf. It's incredibly easy to take a 20-second oath to help a disabled loved one vote at the polls. It's incredibly fast and easy. Obviously, you can't give them answers on who to vote for, but you can help a disabled loved one if you are a caregiver. And if you have a van to help the disability community get to the polls, that is the biggest gift possible. Anything you can do to help, again, please vote.
Wow, I'm just loving this episode, and I hope you are too. If you are my friend, which I know you are, please make sure that you subscribe and like and share because we need to be able to share this with everyone to let everyone know how important your vote is. If your vote was not important and it didn't matter, they wouldn't be trying to do the things that they're doing. So please, everyone, listen to my two wonderful guests that came on today. Get out to go vote this May, June, and especially in November. Please. I can't make this any simpler to anyone, but I'm just asking y'all, please do the right thing. Louisiana, go. You know, not G-O, you know, go. Let's go. Let's get it done. Let's get those people removed from office and make Louisiana better. Because you know what? If you don't do it, they're going to continue. He already said he got a plantation for folks.
Mm.
I'm just saying. And some of y'all, if y'all like me, I don't do heat. So read between the lines what I'm telling you. Get your butt up and go vote. If you don't have no criminal background where you being incarcerated and you don't lost your rights to vote, go vote. And go sign that petition. Clean house. It's time to clean house. And not only in Louisiana, Florida, clean house. Louisiana, clean house. Texas, you know we got to clean house. We got to sweep it out and drain it and refill it with some good water. I don't know where we're going to get the water from since we letting all these data centers come up here and we ain't taxing them enough. We need to clean house, y'all. We cannot allow California and New York and Virginia to carry the weight. We got to do the work, y'all. We can't expect somebody else to come and rescue us. We have got to stand on our own 2 feet and stand up for what's right because if we don't do it, it's over. This is it. This is it, people. Get your folks out there and go vote. And don't you sit up there and tell me This ain't my fight. Yes, the heck it is your fight. Because you know what? When your grandchild look at you and they find out about the history of what happened in 2026, they're gonna ask you, Grandma, Grandpa, what did you do? I didn't do nothing.
Yep, that part.
Change the history. Y'all, we can defeat this. We can change things and make America better and bring it back to where we used to be because we used to be number one. Not right now. We are a laughing stock. People are laughing at us. Other countries are pitying us. We are strong. America has always been strong. And we will not bow down to no kings. We don't have no kings out here. We don't want it. Y'all do the right thing. Get out, go register to vote. Make sure that you're all good in good standing and go vote. Your vote matters. We need you to go vote. Vote for the people, as Eugenia said. Vote for people that's going to do right by you and your family. And I'm going to tell you like this here. I know a lot of people hate the Democrats, but that's your safe bet is to go vote for a Democrat. And I'm going to tell you something. Do your research on that Democrat. Make sure they're not somebody else. Because we got a lot of people that are disguised and saying that they're Democrats and they're not. Do your homework. Make sure that person going to have your best interests at heart and going to do right by you and your family. Because at the end of the day, we all are going to suffer. It doesn't matter what party you in. We're all suffering. So y'all, I just want to say thank you. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Diedrich, for coming on. And this was a wonderful show. I know Dell will be back next week or the week after next. We're going to be back. So, y'all, thank you so much. And I want you to come back on here, Diedrich. You know you had a home here. Come on here and talk about your campaign. I'm going to give you the floor, give you 2 minutes to talk about your campaign, Lisa. I'm going to give you 2 minutes to talk about what you got going on because I know that little flower you got in your hair, I know you got some stuff going on. So
Thank
I'm
you
going to
so
give
much
you the
for having me.
floor. Okay, let me switch it up. I'm going to give you the floor. Lisa, I'm going to put you up first.
Oh, well, okay. I'm just, you know what? I'm rocking and rolling, trying to get the vote out. I work a lot on national politics, getting the word out. Um, Pretty much for all the states. I work primarily with disability policy and do what I can to promote disability rights. Again, on behalf of my son and so many others like him, in the state of Texas, we have a government who is in our own community and is also the biggest detriment to our own community. He fights against ADA rights, and it's incredibly disappointing. So I do what I can to promote disability rights any place, anywhere, and yeah, I just try to get the message out on our candidates nationwide, on elections, no matter whether they're local, whether they're statewide, or whether they're national. And I'm just going to keep playing along at that. I had great honor of working with President Biden on his advance team and getting to travel the country with him. And I've worked on a lot of Texas campaigns with Beto and Wendy Davis, led teams in Georgia. And yeah, I'm just happy doing what I'm doing right now. I'm just going to keep doing that for now.
Good. Thank you very much. Dutch DeBurr. You can reach me at www.detrick DeBurr.com or specifically DeBurr4Texas.com. That's spelled DeBurrForTexas.com. Pretty much, I'm the Democratic nominee for Texas House of Representatives in District 65. District 65 is southern Denton County. That starts a little bit of the Colony, Louisville, Flower Mound, a bit of Argyle, Lantana, Double Oak, all the way over, really, all the way Justin, all the way over to actually Texas Motor Speedway. So it's a pretty big district. Southern Denton County. This is not my first time running. I was the Democratic nominee last time in 2024. My focus is really simple. I'm focusing on what I call private economies and public education. What does that look like? Private economies means that I am focusing on us having a livable wage in Texas. Right now, we do not have a minimum wage in Texas, and a livable wage is basically a minimum wage that's based or tied to the consumer price index, meaning that as prices go up, say for example 5%, then wages go up by 5%. This is being, experimented with in other places. I think that's something we should definitely do in Texas. Secondly, I'll say to that is that Texas is the number one state leading in personal financial stress, meaning the most bankruptcies, the most people falling behind on bills. And we look at gas prices. I don't see this getting easier anytime soon. So we got to have a livable wage. On the other side of that is public education. Our biggest and best investment is our children. And so we have to pay for our schools. And I tell people all the time, either we're going to pay for our schools or we're going to have to pay for prisons. You guys decide. Let me say it again. Either we're going to pay for our schools or we're going to have to pay for prisons. And right now, Texas ranks about 45th or so in spending overall amongst all the states in spending. So we can't expect to have number one top quality schools when we're 47th in spending toward those schools. And I am 100% against the current voucher program as it exists. I think it diverts funds away from our public schools, and more specifically, I think it leads to ultimately what I'll call racial and economic segregation, which is not good, pretty much, for the state of Texas. When it boils down to it, I've been a community servant for a while. I served as a planning and zoning commissioner in North Texas for a total of about 18 years, meaning I've been doing this work for a while. The growth in Texas, especially North Texas, is not going to change. So we need people in office who know how to get the job done. And I have a history of that and a resume of that. With that said, it's all about doing the right thing for me. That's where we do the most good for the most people. As a legislator, it's really simple. I'll listen, I'll lead, then legislate, meaning listening to the people to see and make sure that we're all on the same page. Lead, meaning make sure that everyone has what they need. And then finally, legislate, wrap policy around that leadership and that listening. I think that's what we need in the State House, and that's what I'm going to bring. And so you can visit me again, like I said, at deburfortexas.com and reach out to me. I love to invite you down to Austin and see where we get the work done.
Fantastic.
Y'all two were so amazing.
Thank you.
I really do appreciate both of y'all coming on here and just talking your talk, man. This is what we call real talk. Let's talk about it. So we got to talk about these things in order for us to fix it. I know some people like, what goes on our house, stay in our house. Well, guess what? Our governor, what that guy told me yesterday, the motor guy, he doing everything except for taking care of what's in our house.
Right.
So it is time for us to make a change. It is time for people to stand up here in Texas. I know there's people outside of Texas that are listening. Y'all, we in trouble out here in Texas. That's why I'm keep bringing up Texas and Louisiana because, we kind of stubborn down here. We don't fix things until it's too late. And
Mm.
it's almost too late. We're on that very edge where the kicker finna get ready to kick a field goal. So we got a Hail Mary hoping that the ball goes through. So we're hoping
Yeah.
and we're praying that everybody that's on here, please like, share, talk to your friends, talk to your family about getting out to go vote. Your vote does matter. Let's see, I got two more comments on here. Um, I don't know who this from. Who this from? Eugene. We have to unite, get registered to vote, and go vote. We need to get rid of the purity test on our candidates. We need to energize the non voters so they will want to vote. Eugene, I could not. I believe I agree with you 100% on that because the simple fact is we're at a time right now to where it matters. We're at a time right now that we got candidates that are afraid to go step up and go do the work. And right now, we're at a time when we have a Congress, a Democratic Congress, doing everything they possibly can do to slow this train down, but they cannot wear the cape alone. We all got to put our superhero capes on. We all got to be like the justice of peace, the four justices of peace that we got running out here in Denton County. We all got to do our parts. We all got to go vote for county commissioners, county judges, because it starts local. ISDs are here in our state. We cannot afford to have the state run our schools. You know, I heard people was laughing and talking about the state of Texas, like saying that, we're dumb. Our kids are dumb. Our kids are not dumb. If you give them a book and you explain to our children what's going on and teach them, they will learn it and they will be the best. I believe in Texas. I believe in our people and I believe in you. I believe that you can make the difference if you get up and go vote. We got to unite. And Eugene is exactly correct. We have to unite. We got to build a team. And we got to, sometimes we might have to go across the street to go tell our neighbor, hey, are you happy with your gas price? Because I know you got that big old F 150.
Right. And every election is important. If you're not happy with everything being the same in your school district, vote in your school board elections. Those elections, the people on your school board, historically, those are the elections that never change because nobody votes for those school boards. That makes a huge difference in your child's education. Vote in every local election. City council, school board, dog catcher, vote in everything. Every election from the bottom up because everyone at the top can't change anything if you don't vote for everyone from the bottom up. They need the help from everyone in elected office. Vote for everyone.
Exactly. Remember Amy Taylor? She's on your ballot. She's running for state. Y'all, Lisa, thank you. We definitely have to get these folks out here to go vote, especially in our school district. It's so important because we can't afford to have the state to run these schools because
We can't afford to
our
have the
people.
state to run the state. Look at how it is.
Right. Yeah.
Big Diedrich, I was trying to be halfway good. Don't get me started.
I
And
mean,
we need
you're
to
going
be
to take people who are
proactive.
incompetent at one level and give them something else that they're even more incompetent at.
No,
Exactly.
That doesn't make any sense.
no, it's time for
It,
us to be proactive, not reactive. So let's get ahead of the ball this time. This, get in there and vote, 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 and yeah. And then we can.
Lisa, Tammy said, I'm getting ready to wrap up. Lisa, Tammy said hello.
Hi, Tammy.
Yes, you know what? I really appreciate this show and I appreciate y'all coming on tonight. And thank you to our viewers for staying on with us. Oh my gosh, we've been on for an hour and 18 minutes. It's getting good, y'all. We're going to continue on talking about these hot topics and I'm going to continue on bringing on these candidates, no matter where they are, and bringing on these activists to come on this show so we can talk about things that actually matter. Because I'm going to tell you something, y'all. You're not going to get half of this information from Channel 8 News, from ABC, NBC, CBS, and Fox News. You're not going to get this real talk. You're going to get the real talk from Let's Talk About It Stuff because you know what? If you ask me a question, I'm going to find the answer and we're going to talk about this stuff because it's important. We love you. Come back next week on Wednesday, 7 p.m. on Let's Talk About Stuff. Don't forget to like and share. Thank y'all. Y'all have a good night. We out.
Bye bye.
Thank you.
Bye bye. Bye bye.